All right, today we're not just talking about SEO. We're going to dissect a strategy that fundamentally redefines the entire game. See, this isn't about chasing some fleeting trend or trying to game an algorithm. Nope. This is about building an unassailable fortress of knowledge. It's about creating a blueprint for real, sustainable digital dominance in any niche you choose. So let's explore the architecture of that blueprint together. Just take a moment and let that sink in. This single idea, it's the root cause of so much wasted time, energy, and budget in the marketing world. For years, the game has been framed as this frantic race, right? To capture the #1 spot for one specific high-volume search term. But this approach is a trap. It's an illusion that keeps marketers locked in this perpetual, exhausting battle for one tiny little hill while completely missing the entire mountain range of opportunity that's just beyond it.
And here it is, the great paradox of modern SEO. And it's the absolute core of what we're exploring today. What if the goal isn't just to rank, but to become the definitive, trusted answer for an entire subject? To build a knowledge hub so complete, so logically put together, that Google has no choice but to see you as the primary authority. You see, this isn't about brute force, it's about architectural intelligence. It's about designing a content ecosystem that makes it structurally impossible for smaller, less organized sites to even compete.
So over the next few minutes, we're going to build this blueprint piece by piece. We'll start by tackling the fundamental flaw in the old way of thinking with the keyword paradox, and then look at the self-inflicted wound that made a new solution necessary, the cannibalization crisis. From there, we'll pop open the hood of the authority engine to see exactly how it works. Then we'll switch gears to understand the psychology of trust that makes this whole thing so powerful on a human level, before laying out a precise step-by-step dominance blueprint. And finally, we'll distill the core philosophy behind it all, the architect's advantage. Okay, so let's start by just systematically taking apart this old way of thinking. This relentless chase for a #1 ranking for a single keyword, well, it blinds us to a much bigger, more powerful truth about how search engines, and more importantly, how people actually find information. The game has changed, big time. It's no longer about winning these little isolated skirmishes, it's about winning the entire war for a subject.
The real goal, the ultimate prize in today's search world, is topical authority. It's a simple but really profound idea. Google doesn't just rank individual pages anymore. It ranks proven expertise across an entire domain. It gives preferential treatment to websites that can show they have deep, comprehensive, and logically structured knowledge on a topic. It favors these sites over ones that just have a random collection of articles, no matter how well optimized each individual piece might be. It's about shifting your mindset from being a single dictionary entry to becoming the trusted, go-to encyclopedia for your entire niche.
Now, to really get why this architectural shift was so critical, we have to look back at a super common self-inflicted disaster, the crisis of keyword cannibalization. For years, companies, in their rush to rank for everything, ended up creating this chaotic mess. They'd have 10, 20, even 50 articles all vaguely targeting the same concepts, and they were basically forcing their own pages to compete against each other. This didn't just confuse search engines, it diluted their own authority, spreading their power thin instead of focusing it where it really mattered. This comparison right here shows the evolution perfectly. On the left, you've got the random archive, the old chaotic way. Each article is its own little island, focused on its own keyword, creating that internal competition we just talked about. This disorganization is a nightmare for search algorithms, and it creates a super frustrating experience for any user just trying to get a complete answer. But then you look to the right, and you see the structured hub. Here, the focus is holistic. It's on the entire topic. Authority isn't diluted, it's consolidated and amplified. This structure sends a clear, powerful signal of comprehensive expertise, and most importantly, it delivers a complete, satisfying answer. And this brings us right to the holy grail of Google's quality standards, EEAT. That's experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. The topic cluster model isn't just some clever content trick, it is a direct and powerful way to demonstrate these qualities. The sheer depth of your content, covering every possible angle of a topic, that proves your expertise. The structural integrity, how it's all so intelligently linked together, that builds your authoritativeness. And by becoming that one most reliable source of information, you earn deep trustworthiness. In this model, the architecture itself becomes the ranking signal. So, we've nailed down the why. We totally get the problem and the principle behind the solution. Now it's time to get tactical. Let's go under the hood and look at the how. We're going to deconstruct the mechanics of this authority engine, a system made up of 3 critical, interconnected parts, all designed for one single purpose:
total niche dominance. First up, at the very center of this whole strategic solar system is the pillar page. Think of this as the definitive guide, the master table of contents for your entire topic. It covers the broad strokes, touching on all the major subthemes. But its most important job is to be the structural and financial anchor for everything else. Strategically, this is almost always your core monetization page, the one that drives the key business outcome. It's the central hub where all the value is concentrated.
Orbiting this central pillar are the cluster content pages. These are your deep dive planets. Each one is a super focused article that answers a very specific long-tail question related to your main pillar topic. So if your pillar page is on content marketing, a cluster article might be how to create a B2B content calendar, or maybe measuring the ROI of a blog post. You'll typically have between 10 and 30 of these supporting articles, and together they prove your comprehensive, exhaustive knowledge of the subject.
Okay, now for the most crucial part. This is the architectural law of gravity that holds the entire system together, the hyperlink funnel. And let me be absolutely crystal clear. This is a non-negotiable rule. Every single one of those cluster pages must link back up to the main pillar page, and critically, it has to use the exact pillar keyword as the anchor text for that link. This is not a casual suggestion. This is the load-bearing wall of the entire strategy. It's what creates that clean, hierarchical structure that search engines absolutely need to see.
And this just brilliantly illustrates the entire flow of power. The pillar page establishes the broad topic, setting the stage. The cluster content dives deep into all the details, answering every related question and earning authority on thousands of specific long-tail queries. Then, the hyperlink funnel acts like a series of perfectly engineered channels, directing all of that hard-won authority from the clusters directly back to the central pillar page. This creates a tight, measurable hierarchy that basically screams to Google, hey, this pillar page is the supreme authority on this entire subject. So the mechanics of this system are undeniably powerful from an algorithm's point of view. But the real reason this strategy is so unstoppable is because it's fundamentally built around human psychology. It's not just about satisfying a machine. It's about satisfying a deep human need for clear, organized, and trustworthy information. Let's dive into exactly why this structure feels so right to a user.
The number one psychological mechanism at play here is the minimization of what's called cognitive load. Our brains are biologically wired to save energy. We are naturally, almost subconsciously, drawn to information that's easy to process and understand. Disorganized, chaotic websites create mental friction. They create stress, but a well-structured hub, it does the exact opposite. It creates a feeling of calm and control.
By presenting a complex topic through an organized hub like a pillar page, you radically reduce the mental effort a user needs to spend to find their answers. This clear navigation isn't just functional, it's psychologically calming, and it actively encourages people to explore. And what happens? Users stay on your site longer, they click through to more pages, and they're way less likely to bounce back to the search results. And what does Google see? It sees this flood of positive engagement signals, which it interprets as undeniable proof of high-quality, trustworthy content, and it rewards you with higher rankings. It's a beautiful cycle.
The second powerful psychological lever is accelerated source credibility. Just imagine a user lands on your site from a search. If they see just one article, they might think, okay, that's helpful. But if they see that article as part of an entire, comprehensive library on the topic, it instantly changes their perception of you. The sheer comprehensiveness of the topic cluster proves your expertise without you having to say a single word. It signals that you are not just a contributor to the conversation, you are the conversation. The user and the algorithm both come to the same conclusion. Your site is the deepest, most reliable expert in this field, period.
We've covered the why and we've deconstructed the how. Now, let's get down to business. It's time to translate this powerful theory into a clear, actionable framework you can use to build your own fortress of authority. This is your 3-step blueprint for topic mastery. Step 1, identify your high-value pillar. This should be a broad topic, but it absolutely must be tied to your core service or product. It needs to have commercial intent. This is your financial anchor. Step 2, map the semantic gaps. Your job here is to become obsessed with the questions your audience is asking. Use research tools, look at Google's People Also Ask section, dive into forums, do whatever it takes to generate your cluster content ideas, and make sure you cover every single major angle. And finally, step 3, enforce the linking rule. Be ruthlessly disciplined about this. Every cluster links back to the pillar with that exact match anchor text. That structural integrity is non-negotiable.
So as we bring this all together, what's the single most important takeaway here? What is the fundamental philosophy that holds this entire strategy up and guarantees it's going to work, not just for the next algorithm update, but for the long term?
It's this: sustainable SEO victory is achieved through architectural integrity, not brute force. It's about applying the cold, hard logic of a well-designed system to the deep human need for comprehensive, reliable information. In this new era, you don't win by shouting the loudest or publishing the most. You win by building the most organized, the most complete, and ultimately, the most helpful resource. At the end of the day, this entire system works because it aligns perfectly with the profound truth about great marketing. The best marketing doesn't feel like marketing at all, does it? It doesn't aggressively push people through a funnel. It gently and confidently pulls them toward undeniable value. It proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you know everything there is to know about your topic, which makes you the only logical choice to do business with. And that leaves us with one final, critical question for you to think about. Take an honest look at your own website, at your own content strategy. Is it just a random archive of articles fighting these isolated little battles for individual keywords? Or have you started the deliberate work of building an unassailable fortress of authority? The choice, and the immense competitive advantage that comes with it, is yours.